I just finished 36 minutes of a video that I just trashed. I got a little too carried away. I want to address something that's on my being. This book, Sefer Yetzirah, the Book of Creation in Theory and Practice, revised edition by Aryeh Kaplan. If you got an interest, get it. I'm reading from page 186, and there's a reason I'm reading this. I remember about 4 years ago it was, I heard an NPR article in which it stated that fully 49% of the respondents polled among a group of people believed in the virgin birth of Jesus Christ, Jesus the Christ, excuse me, and that the earth was created in 7 literal days. So I want to read to you what the Jews believe about the creation. This is something very important that's overlooked. Christianity nowadays has nothing to do with the Jews. I mean, there's people say, oh, we want to save Israel and this and that, because that's where Jesus came from, you know. But the fact is, they have absolutely no understanding of the really, really deep matters within the book of Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, which, of course, are the first 5 books of Moses, the greatest prophet of Israel. But those books are not what they seem. And I can guarantee you that. The book of Genesis is not a myth. It's not a bunch of garbage. You know, whether or not some of those people existed is beside the point. It's what's in the book. And I'll get to that a little later. I've been wanting to make a bunch of videos and stuff. And I think I'm going to. Because I just have to do that for my own sanity. What I'm going to read to you is Aryeh Kaplan's commentary on the age of the universe. And when somebody comes up to you, or if you yourself believe that the earth was created in 7 literal days, I would like to use this to give you the opportunity to understand that you're wrong. That most Jews look at people who say that as rather touched, because, or simple-minded. This is what it says. This is Aryeh Kaplan's accounting. According to the master Kabbalist Rabbi Isaac Kavako, when counting the years of these cycles, there are 7 cycles. He's talking about 7 cycles of creation, 7 universes. One must not use the ordinary physical year, but rather a divine year. The Midrash says, the Midrash is the major teachings of the fathers, that each divine day is 1,000 years, basing this on the verse, 1,000 years in your sight are as but yesterday, Psalms 90 verse 4. Since each year contains 365 and a quarter days, a divine year would be 365,250 years long. According to this, each cycle of 7,000 divine years would consist of 2,556,750,000 earthly years. This figure of 2.5 billion years is very close to the scientific estimate as to the length of time that life has existed on the earth. If we assume that the 7th cycle began with the biblical account of creation, then this would have occurred when the universe was 15 billion 340,500,000 years old. This is a very close estimate to the scientific explanation that the universe began some 15 billion years ago. They currently say 13.5 billion. But of course, we got to remember, you're looking at the rear end of the light. We don't know how many billion years out beyond that it is. But from what this says, it's 15 billion years. The current Hebrew year is 5736. That's when this book was written. In this calendar, the year in which Adam was created is counted as year 1. If when we count the biblical genealogies from the time of Adam, we find that 5,736 years have elapsed since the time he was formed. However, the Kabbalists clearly say that other human beings existed before Adam, and this is even supported in Scripture. Actually, there are 2 accounts of the creation in the book of Genesis. The first chapter of Genesis speaks to the initial creation of the universe, while the second chapter speaks to the creation of Adam. During the 6 days of creation described in this chapter, God did not actually create the world, but rather created the ingredients that would allow the world to develop. It thus refers to the creation of all matter along with space and time. It was during these 6 days that God brought the universe into being from absolute nothingness. After these 6 days of creation, God allowed the universe to develop by itself, renewing his creation each 7,000 divine years, or 2.5 billion earthly years. All the laws of nature and the properties of matter had been fixed for all time. As it is written, he established them forever. He made a decree which shall not be transgressed. Psalms 148, verse 6. Is similarly written, whatever God decrees shall be forever, nothing shall be added to it, and nothing shall be taken away. Ecclesiastes 3:14. Each of the 6 cycles of creation brought something new into the world. The 5th cycle was the one that brought forth life. And this took place around 2.5 billion years ago, around 974 generations before Adam, or some 25,000 years ago. Man developed all the physical and mental capabilities that we possess today. This man had evolved from the dust of the earth, Genesis 2:7, but he still lacked the divine soul that would make him a spiritual being. God then created Adam, the first true being with a soul, and he blew in his nostrils a soul of life. Genesis 2:7. According to the tradition, the creation of Adam took place on Rosh Hashanah, Hebrew New Year, which occurred on September 9th, 3761 BCE. Now, there's a few things here. One, of course, this is dressed in tradition. But what Rabbi Kaplan points out is that there is a scientific process behind it. There's an understanding that the universe was not created in 7 literal days. The universe was created 15.3 billion years ago. Now, in that time, a lot of things came to be. For instance, me sitting here right now telling you about this. If you doubt, or there's somebody you know around you that's trying to tell you it was 7 literal days, there's another book he wrote that contains the entire thesis outlined. Immortality, Resurrection, and the Age of the Universe. Arya Kaplan. The man wrote 50 books. He died in 1983. He was only 48 years old. I just want you to know that I'm not coming from a place of oh, I found this. Oh, I found this. When I talk about the Torah, I've done a lot of work on the Torah. I've done a lot of digging into things that people don't even know exist. And I'm surprised that I talk to Jews that don't even know a lot about this. And I mean Jews that are supposed to be studied. It's a very specialized thing, of course, nowadays. But I wanted to pass this along to you, that you have to understand, when I talk about the Bible, I'm talking about the Torah, because that's basically what I study. The first 5 books, and only the first 5 books. And the reason I'm so centered on those first 5 books is because of what I know is there. You see, when Adam was created, there was more to it than just God creating him. The word used is Elohim. It's a plural. Now, it's a masculine plural, or a feminine plural, pardon me. And the thing is that most people don't realize, and a lot of Jews even argue about it. They always take it traditionally as being masculine, even though it's got a feminine ending, and singular. But I've got to tell you something. As for this man, I don't believe it one bit. I found a picture of the Elohim in the text. If you want to see a picture of the Elohim, take a look at the Zuni or the Navajo Kachina. Those are the sky beings. And yes, there was somebody that intervened. And I can tell you right now, I know this much, why they intervened. They're the ones who brought us law. They're the ones who brought us civilization. They're the ones who created a person who could understand beyond the animal nature. It's kind of like that book by Julian Jaynes, the Origin of Consciousness in the Bicameral Mind. He goes on this supposition all the way through, and right away, I mean, you know, that's the thing about it, is like, it's all maybe. But he talks about consciousness coming about 4,000 years ago. Well, I thought it was kind of interesting because he uses some very, very, how would you put it, real matters to bring forth his proposition, his theory. For he speaks of the Assyrian statues and the fact that their eyes are empty, which indicate, you know, that they saw themselves as just beings in this world. They weren't fully conscious. And of course, I didn't agree with that. Even in the animal mind, there's still consciousness. What I'm trying to point out is that the creation story is an important story. It's a science. It tells us that there was a being that was taken from hominid stock, that was made specifically, engineered, as it were. His mate is clearly engineered. It says it took it from his side, from his rib. The thing people don't stop to think about is that the ribs are where white blood cells are produced. So you see there's this part, there's a verse in there that says, it's not good that he be alone. And in the Hebrew, it says, it's not good that he be of two hearts. That is to say that the Adam that we're looking at there was of two sexes. He was both male and female. And that the female was extracted from him using the part that produces white blood cells, which are very necessary for our survival on this planet to fight infection and disease. And the white blood cells come from the mother. Now, the thing is that's interesting about this is that we have to realize we're looking at possibly the first recorded instance in our human history of cloning. And it was a technology beyond what we possess right now that did it. So you might not believe all this, and I don't expect you to believe all of it. I'm not asking you to. But I just want you to know that when I talk about the Torah as a book that is something more than a bunch of myth, that is something more than just some bunch of stories, I want you to know I don't back down from that one bit. Because I know. I've seen it with my own eyes. I can show you images in that book that'll blow your mind. And I'm not joking. Everything from Egyptian iconography, Assyrian iconography, to images of beings that are not human. You really should find a book, The Spaceships of Ezekiel, written by Joseph Blumerick. I mean, if you need a copy, I got a PDF. I'll email it to you. I copied the whole thing in. It's been out of print since 1974. I figured, hey, they're not going to reprint it. Might as well just put it in there in case somebody wants it. He was a NASA engineer. The man did some wondrous things with the book of Ezekiel and pointed some things out that completely skipped my mind. I mean, but anyway, I wanted to give this information to you about the age of the universe because I'm tired of people arguing about the book of Genesis being a book of myth. I'm tired of people arguing that the book of Genesis has nothing in it. And I'm tired and sick and tired of atheists trying to cram their crap down my throat. That we are insignificant. That we don't mean anything in this universe. Because I'm going to tell you something. That's a bunch of bullshit. We are the eyes, ears, and mouth of God. We are sentience. And sentience in this universe is very important because we are the things which can change this universe. That's what was passed on to us. The ability to become not a creature of mud, but a creature that could reach out to the stars and one day do the same thing that was done for us. That's the whole story. The universe wants life. It wants life to generate, but the concept of God was given to us by those beings. They understood that somewhere in this universe there's an over intelligence, that the universe itself is intelligent. We're the very proof of that. If more people understood that, there'd be less religion, less wars, possibly, and more trying to focus on us expanding out into the universe. The way science fiction used to portray us, you know, going into the stars. But I've got to tell you, the reason that I'm really worried right now is that we could blow ourselves off the face of this earth at any given moment. All it would take is some idiot. You see, there's a program that Russia and the United States and China have. And Israel has the same program. It's the Doomsday Program, and it's very real. It's called Mutually Assured Destruction. What happens is, one launches, there's an immediate retaliatory response. And from there, there's no stopping it. It's just the program. When we talk about the Terminator and all these AI and stuff like this, yes, that's scary. But since well into the late 1950s, there's been the doctrine of mutual assured destruction. And they made sure that they had their little system in place. Because if anything went wrong, if somebody misfired or whatever, they have a fail-safe. But the thing is, with mutually assured destruction, when the balloon goes up, everything goes up. I don't want to see the mission I was given fail. Because I believe it's to enlighten people, to stop that madness, to stop the insanity of war, and especially the war that's coming. And it's coming quick. Unless we do something about it, unless we raise our consciousness to realize that we are important. All life is important. But I don't see it happening. In fact, there's a couple of things that haven't happened, and it's really been bugging me. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's where I'm sitting tonight. Contemplating how I can finish this project off. And at the same time, hoping that in some way I can contribute to a sense of sanity in this world. I realize I sound angry. I am angry. I'm very disappointed at my fellow human beings. I can't help it. I just am. When I look around and see all the crap going on in this world, it's not everybody. I'm not saying that I hate people. It's that I'm really upset that people haven't stood up with a stronger voice and said enough. But they're like sheep. They like to be led. They like to be fed their religion. They like to be fed facts instead of looking it up themselves. So what I got to say to you right now is take it or leave it. The Earth is 15.3 billion years old, and it's in the Bible, the Old Testament. And that the story that is in Genesis tells us that it's 15.3 billion years, not 7 literal days. And remember, Sefer Yetzirah is the best, the easiest to get a hold of. The other one is Immortality, Resurrection, and the Age of the Universe. And they're both by the same author, Arya Kaplan. Anyway, I'm hoping to make a series of videos, and I hope this made sense to you. I'm a little spacey right now. I mean, I've got a lot on my mind. And I think that's why I made this video. It's because I see all the beauty in the universe. I see all the beauty in the faces of children. I think about my grandchildren. I think about my kids. I think about Nan's kids. I think about our combined grandchildren, you know. I've got 7 grandkids. And it's like, what kind of world do I want for them? Why do I speak out about these oil spills and stuff like this? Why am I posting all these news items? It's because I want to put it in your face. And I want to say, please, don't turn away. Look at it. This is what's happening. We've got to speak up. We've got to do. Not just sit. We got to do. This is part of my doing. Part of my doing is to relieve people from the idiocy of believing that it was 7 literal days. I'm sorry. There was no virgin birth. And it wasn't 7 literal days. So, be that as it may, I guess I'll end the talk here. I'd hoped to come on and just sort of do a lighthearted video for you, but I just have to admit that I can't let it go. It won't let me go. And I'm still working on a book that I had hoped to have out 3 years ago, but there's a reason why. So there's been a lot discovered since. And so I'm hoping to make the videos about that whole process after this. And thank you for watching. And I hope it didn't sound too angry. But I do want you to know that, contrary to popular belief, those who wrote the original Bible don't even believe it was 7 literal days. And if you're going to claim the Bible, then you better read it in its proper language. Or don't claim to know the Bible. Thank you. Good night.